What's up? Jake Reed here. Wow. This mic stand is totally overkill. Welcome to the third installment of In Session with Sean Hurley. On this episode, I thought it would be fun to go in a slightly different direction than our last two and talk about something that I get asked about a lot, the Tame Impala drum sound. So, we called this Wyld Antelope. So original, right? So this song was a song that my friend Matt Saladino wrote for this band that I happened to get to play drums in and produce the music for, Waves and Waves. This song is actually called Tell Me What You Want, and we already recorded it, but I thought it would be fun to kind of take it and chop it up, repurpose it for what we're doing here today. Wyld Antelope.
Cool.
Hey Sean, what do you got going here?
Well, I got my ever-present Noble DI. I also got a Mustang bass.
Why use a Mustang bass?
Because cool kids like it a lot. Indie approved. It just sounds great. Makes you play.
You got flat wounds on there?
I sure do. Some labellas with the Vaseline treatment to make them break in real fast and real smooth.
We're going for like a total dirty
pop. So how do you do that? Well, what we do is we make the pedals kick into gear, because I'm at Jake's studio, no amp. So you got to give it some beef with the old Prestige from JHS, which kicks into the vintage microtubes. And then we've got some a healthy dose of drive.
Wow. We're going DI into this Neve right here for bass. And as you can see, it's hitting pretty hard. Sounds good.
It's got to be dirty enough, because a lot of times the hi-hats and anything in the upper register department covers up any dirt. Give it a little extra, because so much of that stuff gets frequency masked.
A lot of times on this kind of stuff, especially when I know it's going to get super compressed on the drums, I'll just take down my cymbals altogether. Like, I'll just play hi-hat, no crash cymbals. It leaves a lot more space for the groove to really shine through. And I'm also kind of muffling up my front head a little bit more. I could take off the front head if I wanted to and get super crazy with the muffling, but we're doing another song today, and let's just face it, I'm a little lazy with
You're making it work, Jake.
concert toms, covered up, lots of muffling on that snare drum. Listen, all I'm saying is sometimes you gotta tape the shell. That's the only way to get the sound. Got the old knee mic here. That's how we're doing it, D12. Boom. Just the standard Danmar beater, some old 13-inch new beats. I got rid of all the cymbals. I don't want anything ringing in the room. We're going for the tightest, driest.
Mean and mean.
We're just out in the desert. It's so dry.
This is Coachella approved.
So in the first 2 episodes of In Session with Sean Hurley, some people were asking if I could print the click in our versions, because you guys want to hear how we play with the click. For take 2, that's what I did. I thought it'd be fun just so you can hear kind of where we tend to push the time a little bit, i.e. the choruses, and where it kind of sits back a little bit, maybe a little bit, in the verses. This is it.
So it.
So it.
be good. I mean, you can always swap out an audio piece if there's something better
Yeah.
in an earlier take.
Usually we just try to get the best performance of the simplest idea, right?
That's right, Jake.
Thank you, Tim Pierce, for that line.
Thank you, Tim Pierce, for that line.
Now, we're going to go above and beyond, because that's what we do. There's no traffic on the extra mile.
It's just open freeway, baby.
Yeah. So we're just gonna see, can you beat it? Maybe if we just change the parts just a hair, just to have some options, right?
For me, I focus on the transitions. How can I transition between sections a little differently so that if I'm the artist digging for like, well, that verse into the chorus was this particular feel or riff or whatever transition happened. If you look at the playlist beneath it, I'd like to give them something that's a little bit different, subtle variety. Otherwise, if you just repeat yourself trying to beat the previous take, you're not giving someone an artistic choice. You're sort of just trying to measure up. So
Yeah.
that's what I'm focusing on. Usually, like a line like this where I'm playing something kind of scripted that I came up with, well, now, if I can execute that, great. It's all about how do they transition between things and maybe little subtlety as it develops, and that way if someone hears something later, like, oh, great,
Yeah.
they have free will to copy and paste it somewhere else or
Yeah.
use it as they see fit.
I mean, the thing is, we're always talking about how great analog is and like back in the day using tape, but this is one of the great things about digital, like recording in Pro Tools. We can give a bunch of different performances and it's really easy to cut in and out of other ideas. Like, that's awesome, right? Technology wins.
And as a great producer once said, once you've played a few takes and you get one that everyone agrees is great, he says, let's do another one because now we're playing with house money.
Boom.
Boom.
For take 3, I went almost full Tame Impala. I think the only thing I didn't do, I don't even know if Kevin Parker does this. I could have gone in and like basically chopped up my drum part and made like a 2 or 4 bar loop out of it and then just made that be the entire song, which it kind of sounds like that's what's happening in actual Tame Impala. But for Wyld Antelope, I thought I would keep it real, play it as it lays. I mean, we all know what perfect sounds like. I could go in and quantize everything and that could be cool, but I figure if we're playing together, let's just let it go. Let it be wild, not tame. See what I did there?
Right on. That was my personal favorite.
Same. Third take.
That's the charm.
I think we beat that one. That's good.
Okay, so as I always say, I have no idea how Kevin Parker actually gets these sounds. I'm not there in the room when he's recording this stuff. And it kind of doesn't matter. You could do some research and kind of figure it out and use your ears and sort of deduce sort of what's happening. I get asked about this sound a lot, so I thought it would be cool to take you through how I go about approximating or basically doing this how I do it. So, and again, the idea is I'm not an actual mixer. I'm just a drummer, and as a session drummer, sometimes I get asked, hey, can you do the Tame Impala thing on this song? And of course I say, yeah, of course I can. It sounds like it's not a lot of mics, but a lot of processing. It's not just the playing and how I'm hitting the drums and how I'm grooving with Sean. It has a lot to do with how I'm mixing it. And again, usually I'm not the one mixing this stuff, but when someone sends me a song to play on and I send it back to them to listen to what I've done, I want it to sound in the ballpark. I want it to have a vibe. I don't just want it to be like me playing drums in my little room here. I want it to sound as close to something that could be the finished product as possible. That's why I do spend a lot of time trying to improve my mixing skills, even though I'm not a pro mixer. I know some really good mixers, and I'm not one of them. All right, so I started off this last take by actually ripping off a real Tame Impala song and putting this filter at the top. And then let's start with the kick drum. So that's what it sounds like with nothing on it. Just sounds like a normal kick drum. Did a little EQ on it, just boosting some frequencies to bring up the beater, because I am trying to get closer to that Tame Impala thing. So tons of beater sound, scooping out some of these low mids. Then I'm compressing it. Yeah. And then I'm doing something crazy, which I don't normally do. I use the gate. Because I'm trying to make it just like as tight as possible, almost like not real in a way, even though it's a real human performance. Kick out. That's with nothing. Great. Both of them together. Snare. Sounds like a normal snare. Snare EQ, just adding some of those frequencies that I think sound good. Not doing a ton of cutting or anything. And then just all buttons in. And then gating it. I'm also using a snare bottom. Sounds like that. Cool. So that's what the gate's on. Sounds pretty, almost not real because of the gates. But then I put this mono overhead. It's just I don't remember what I was using for the mono overhead. Here it is soloed. And then again with the, compressor. There it is. EQ, just boosting some highs. I must have been a ribbon mic. So yep, there's that. That's just mono overhead, kick, snare. Sounds awesome. Rooms are muted. Overhead pair is muted. The toms, I basically manually gated them, so they only come in whenever there's an actual tom being hit. Hi-hat mic. Really high-passed it. I went crazy there. I was just trying to pull out that one, just that stick frequency. and I cut out a lot of the bottom end. Okay, and then I've got this crunch mic. Let's see what that sounds like by itself. I think I had it going through maybe a Fatso? I can't remember. It's going through some sort of compressor that's crunching it all up. And then I just EQ'd it. Sounds like this. Okay, so that's all the individual mics. So the important part here is the drum bus. What's happening in the drum bus is a big part of the sound. First of all, I'm just boosting some more low end. I don't know if that's right or not, but it seemed to help cut off some of the really high stuff just to make it sound a little more, I don't know, vintagey, I guess you could say. So let's engage that. Then, just a little bus compression here. Not a lot, just sort of, you know, making everything kind of equal sounding. See, I'm not just like a 2-to-1 ratio, hardly anything going on. But here's the big one. The Saturn, Fab Filter Saturn. This thing rocks. The cool thing about this is you can separate the different, you can get different bands going, right? And so I can choose not to overly distort and saturate the low end, the kick drum. But I chose to do it a lot, as you can see here. I haven't even engaged it yet. On the snare, see the drive up to 64% there. Kick drum is like way down there, 17%, just like the tiniest bit. So that's the cool thing about this Saturn plugin is you can kind of siphon off the different EQ bands here and choose what you want to saturate or not. So here's what that sounds like. And it's, oh yeah, how about that automation? It's actually doing a lot because you can hear Sean coming through my mics acoustically in the room. Next thing is happening. Little tape saturation. Awesome. Okay, hopefully this doesn't destroy my computer, but the last thing that's helping is I put a limiter on the drum bus because I just want to kind of like level out all these transients a little bit. I think that's something I was hearing in all the Tame Impala stuff, is it just sounds like almost like those snare hits were like flattened. Like if you looked at the actual waveform, it'd be like cool. Last thing I will say is when I listen to the Tame Impala reference, you guys know the one I'm talking about, is it sounds like the drums are just like a little bit of room sound. Like these sound nice and dead and dry, but I thought adding a little bit of room plug-in could add a little bit of extra just sizzle, a little top end. So here's what it sounds like. See a small, like a very short decay. Which I think sounds pretty awesome. Add the other plugins back in here. These aren't on the drums at all. Add this limiter back in. So that limiter on the master bus also helps. Okay, let's hear how it sounds with the bass in. I don't know what I'm doing on the bass. I'm not a bass player or a mixer, but I just added a little bit of that just to get some more high end. Put it through an LA2. And the last thing I did was I actually did a little sidechain compression just to help the kick drum pop through. Wow. Woo! Let's see what it sounds like with everything. Thanks so much for stopping by. We'll see you next time. Let me know if you have any questions. Leave a comment below. Wow, this is like epic music to be ending a video to. Anyway, that's all I got for you. Peace.